His mother left Oakland and relocated to Los Angeles and moved directly to Baldwin Village, also known as the Jungles. Growing up, Lil Bop's mother enforced education. She'd make him read books before he can go out and play in the streets. This would develop Bop's intellect and resulted in him being smarter than most of his peers. Without his father in the picture, Bop looked up to the older guys in the neighborhood and they embraced him. By his teenage years, Lil Bop was considered a hardened member of the Black Pea Stone Jungles. The Jungle Stones formed when the already established City Stones linked up with the Jungle Boys in the Baldwin Village section of South Central. During the early 1970s, the Jungle Boys transitioned into the Jungle Stones, solidifying the second neighborhood. Bop represents the second generation of gangbangers, which most consider to be the hardest when gangbanging in LA was at its peak. Although Lil Bop was considered as an enforcer on the streets, frontline gangbanging, he still operated by a code. If he caught his enemy with his mother or girl and kids, he would give them a pass and wait for a later date. In his prime, Bop was super active, dismantling and crushing Crips in hand-to-hand combat. The Jungle Stones' arch enemies, the Rolling 40s and 30s, and the West Boulevard Crips who are down the street, would be his frequent victims. His knockout game was cold, but he allegedly was known to be lethal with a pistol. In the field, he was shot a total of 12 times, once in the face and still survived. On one occasion, he was shot 8 times by a fellow blood homie. He was shot twice by Crips at the liquor bank on Crenshaw, causing him to need a cane. And he first went to prison in 1988. When he was released back onto the streets, he was more equipped and war ready. He went back to prison for a year, got out, and went right back, and stayed for another 3 years. When he got out in 2001, he made a cameo in the movie Training Day starring Denzel Washington. Due to the national exposure the movie gave the gang-infested area, it would cast a spotlight and ultimately lead to a federal indictment on the Black Pea Stone Jungles.
To help them create a safer community. Well, there will also be coordinated catch kids before they get involved in gang activity, and I think that's absolutely the way to do it.
At the window, police, police, FBI, FBI, and they just start shooting in the windows.
So you guys,
I'm sure wasn't going to come out with all that.
Palmwood Drive, which is the dead-end cul-de-sac street, was the center point for the open-air drug market in the Jungles. At one point, the reputation for narcotic sales in this neighborhood transcended. Anyone from movie stars to pro athletes would drive down Palmwood to purchase large amounts of crack or cocaine. During this time period, Bop was incarcerated again, this time for an armed bank robbery. He would spend nearly 2 decades in prison. While incarcerated, Bop went through a spiritual regrowth and transformed his thought process. He began having a different perspective on gang culture. When Bop was released, he came home with a new outlook. On Christmas Day of 2019, Bop went viral on Instagram in a video of him stacking his hood. He used the exposure in his new platform to advocate for mental health and stopping senseless violence.
It was on my heart to talk to the homies about this is what I want to do for Christmas, homie. You know what I'm saying? And for the new year. All parks, recreational parks, everybody, every major community in Los Angeles got a park. That should be a no-fly zone for busing, nigga. Niggas be coming to our park lighting shit up. You know, niggas go to King Park in the Harlems. Niggas go to Jesse Owens Park over there in the Hunters. Niggas need to stop going to them parks, homie, and busting, homie. Cause there's women and children up there, nigga. If you see some Crips or some Bloods kicking in their park, let them niggas make it. This ain't me. This is God, baby. All this shit coming from up top, homie. If he using me as the vehicle on the platform, you know what I'm saying? So be it. I'll be the conduit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Y'all know how many motherfuckers done died for God? That'd be a blessing for me. Nigga, kill me in the name of the Lord, nigga. Yeah, nigga, you know where I'm going?
He continued to do numbers, collaborating with Watts homie Quan on several skits that also went viral. He was doing well for himself. He had his own place and just purchased a new 2020 Dodge Charger. He went for a CDL and started a trucking business. He was able to secure multiple PPP loans, so his pockets were swole. Sometime in 2021, Lil Bop was allegedly sleeping with his homie's wife behind his back. When the homie found out his wife was creeping with Lil Bop, he felt betrayed. That led him to confronting Bop and challenging him to a fight. Bop wound up knocking him out cold, humiliated by getting his wife ran and getting KO'd after the fact. 2 days later, on June 5th, 2021, Bop had been hanging out in the Don's area of Baldwin Hills. It was given that name because of all the streets beginning with Don, after the formal title of all Los Angeles' original landholders. Bop was standing on the 4100 block of Don Tomaso Drive when that homie ran up and allegedly shot Bop 2 times in the head. Bop died that same day. That homie that was from his own gang would allegedly skip town, and few know of his current whereabouts, as this is an internal gang conflict. The murder to this day has gone unsolved, and BPS members are not cooperating with authorities regarding the murder. The funeral was held in July and they sent him off in a major way. His service was evident of the widespread love and respect people had for him. Bloods from all over were in attendance. In the time that Bobhead came home from the feds, he was able to accomplish a lot in little time. He was popular with the young and old generation. He was also super active in his daughters' and grandkids' lives. He was one of the first Damus to openly have love for Crips, as long as the respect was mutual and genuine. Despite his shortcomings, he never led the young homies on crash out missions. There is currently a $50K reward for any information on Lil Bob's murder.